When you can't make it to City Hall or the school board meetings, local journalists from duluthnewstribune.news will be there to report the facts and get your questions answered. Local news works for you. Stay up to date at duluthnewstribune.news.
Hello, Northlanders. It's Tuesday, May 30th. I'm Wyatt Buckner with your Duluth News Tribune Minute, presented by Minnesota Power Employees Credit Union.
The average MPECU member saves over $785 a year in better rates and lower fees. And with MPECU, every ATM is your ATM. With their free checking program, you get ATM fee reimbursements at any ATM anywhere in the U.S. Check out Minnesota Power Employees Credit Union's services online at mpecu.com or visit their offices in downtown Duluth, Arrowhead Road, or Miller Trunk Highway.
Now here's a look at today's headlines. The announcement of a racial bias audit at the Duluth Police Department was met with a level of skepticism, both from members of the agency and from the broader community, Blair Powless acknowledged. At least some rank-and-file officers felt their work was being called into question, or that they were unfairly being accused of racism, he said, while members of marginalized communities worried it would be just another report commissioned by administrators to make the department look good. In reality, the audit is the result of a multi-year partnership between the police department and a wide array of community groups, who together have identified goals and set forth the process by which the department is being analyzed. An online petition first called for analysis of the department after the 2020 murder of George Floyd, with the Duluth branch of the NAACP and the Duluth Community Safety Initiative among groups that publicly demanded the audit. The calls were also intensified after data was released by the Law Enforcement Accountability Network, which found racial disparities in traffic stops, arrests, and use of force incidents. And while police expressed some concern about an oversimplification of the data, officials did vow to take a hard look at Duluth's data and practices. Mayor Emily Larson formally ordered the audit in April 2021. A group known as the Racial Bias Audit Team was formed to collaboratively manage the audit. It includes representatives of the Police Department, NAACP, DCSI, Citizen Review Board, Commission on Disabilities, Human Rights Commission, and NQT2SLGBIA Commission. Duluth's audit is unique in that it's not the result of a civil rights lawsuit or any state or federal government action aimed at overhauling the agency. Rather, leaders of the proactive undertaking provide an opportunity for the audit team to draw up their own parameters. Auditors have conducted monthly meetings with the police department and community groups, as publishing monthly updates on the city's website. The work has involved scrutinizing thousands of policies, training documents, and hiring materials, an intensive review of demographic data related to various calls, traffic stops, and use of force incidents, and assessing how officers interact with the public and whether the agency and Citizen Review Board are effectively communicating with citizens. The audit was substantially completed this spring, and the team is now in the process of compiling the report. The police department and community groups expect to receive a draft at some point in June, offering a brief feedback period before the report is publicly released in July. Dan Williamson now joins with a special guest.
Thanks, Wyatt. I'm joined by one of our colleagues, Duluth News Tribune arts and entertainment reporter Jay Gabler. And Jay, there's a story you're working on that we can find in Wednesday's print edition of the Duluth News Tribune. You can also find it online prior at duluthnewstribune.com. And you were telling me this is a story that involves TV shows and movies that you can stream that have local ties. What more can you tell us?
That's right. Well, we all had an opinion on Merry Kiss Cam, and probably heard that a new Christmas movie, Rescuing Christmas, was just filmed here in Duluth, but that is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to things that you can stream that have local connections. So I wrote a whole feature about different shows and movies with Duluth connections and Northland connections more generally that you can enjoy from the comfort of your couch.
Can you tell us about some of the actors that we could see in these TV shows and these movies?
Yeah, well, the actor that many people know by name is Daniel Durant, famous for starring in the Oscar-winning film Coda and also for doing very well on Dancing with the Stars, both on TV and in the live tour of that celebrity competition series. But he's also continuing on with his day job as an actor. You can see him in an episode of the NBC drama Chicago Med, and also in 2 episodes of a new Netflix show called Florida Man. And he is about to begin filming his next movie. It's going to be called Flash Before the Bang, inspired by the true story of an all-deaf high school track and field team in Oregon in the 1980s. I also talked to Julia Rickert, which is a name that Northland sports fans might recognize because they're a big basketball family. She has 2 siblings, as well as Julia herself. They were all basketball stars at East, but Julia decided that her true passion lay in the dramatic arts. She's now in Hollywood, making it as an actor, and she has her biggest role yet in a new Apple TV Plus series called High Desert, where she co-stars with Patricia Arquette.
And Jay, if you want to see Duluth on screen, some of the movies shot here are...
Yeah, there are many movies shot here in Duluth that are now available on streaming services. And I thought a feature would be helpful because they're not always, easy to find, but they are out there. And so we have helpful links in the feature where you can view movies including The Hand That Feeds, a supernatural horror film that was made largely in Lincoln Park, especially at the Caddyshack bar. We had a whole feature about that when it was being filmed, and that movie is now out on Vudu and Spectrum. Then there's a thriller called Beyond the North Woods. This is in the found footage genre, which is like the Blair Witch Project, where you sort of imagine that this footage has been found after something spooky has happened, and now you, the viewer, are sort of piecing back together what might have happened. This one was filmed in Duluth, specifically in Lester Park. So extra creepy points there. And then there's a movie called Gravedigger Dave's Halfway House, which is a horror anthology movie. That's where you have sort of a narrator who provides some continuity, but then there are a bunch of different specific stories about supposedly haunted places here in Duluth and beyond. Then there's another show that I wrote about that is billed as being set amid the North Woods of Minnesota. Well, those of us who live in Duluth might assume that means around here, but I was reminded, actually, for people who don't live here in Minnesota, the North Woods of Minnesota just means all of Minnesota. So this show is actually made in and around Lake Minnetonka, down by the Twin Cities, but it was fun to watch. It's a documentary, or a docu-series more specifically, about this group of dudes who think that they see some sort of big creature down there in Lake Minnetonka, and they decide they're going to go find it. Then they have some debate over what they're going to do if they do find it. And, I talked to one of the guys who appeared in that show, and he swore everything happened just as you see it on screen. So that show is called Searching for the Mikinak. It is the Ojibwe word for turtle, and it's now streaming on Amazon Prime.
Very interesting. Thanks so much for your time, Jay.
Thanks, Dan.
And again, you can read Jay's article in Wednesday's print edition of the Duluth News Tribune. You can also find it online prior at duluthnewstribune.com. Wyatt, back to you.
Thanks, Dan. Now here's a look at your forecast brought from the News Tribune's 20 Under 40 Awards.
Happy Tuesday, Duluth. Today's forecast is going to be a rainy one. Scattered showers and thunderstorms throughout the day today, mostly sunny otherwise, and between those storms, the high temperature near 75 degrees. Overnight tonight, still a few more thunderstorms, especially throughout the overnight hours. Skies will turn mostly cloudy with that low temperature around the mid-50s. For your Wednesday, another slight chance of thunderstorms in the morning, and then maybe a few more later on in the afternoon with a high temperature in the upper 70s. I'm Storm Tracker meteorologist Dylan Vogt.
Thank you to the 20 Under 40 Awards for their support. The award honors 20 individuals from our area who have distinguished themselves, making significant contributions to the Duluth community. These young leaders are shaping the future of our region. You can find profiles on this year's winners through a link at the top of our website, duluthnewstribune.com. Reporting for today's episode was done by Tom Olson and Jay Gabler. Thank you for listening to Duluth News Tribune Minute. Have a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.